I generate millions of dollars for my clients through Facebook ads, and in this video, I'm going to show you the exact method that I've been using and abusing, quite frankly, to scale e-commerce stores in every single vertical and every single industry you can think of, from skincare to fashion to leather products, whatever you can think of. We've been successful in all of these industries just because of this unique way of thinking about scaling ads, which is quite different than what you see in the typical videos that I'm sure you've been consuming over the past few months, over the past few years. By the end of this video, I make you a promise. You're going to understand exactly what is lacking in your own situation, and you're going to be equipped with the tools to solve those issues. Now, hopefully you get some value. Let's get into the video. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the video. Let's get straight into it. What I want to show you is how I think about scaling an account whenever I'm trying to scale an account. We're not going to be talking about testing. We're not going to be talking about account setup. We're not going to be talking about all of that stuff because that's not relevant. That comes before scaling, obviously. And I've got a lot of videos covering that material. So here, what we're going to be talking about today is a framework or a thought process that you can replicate to scale in every single situation you're kind of faced with. So let's say, for example, you get a few winning ads and you start getting some traction, you start getting some sales. Now, you want to start allocating a lot more budget, a lot more money to it. And that's obviously something that's commendable. The problem is a lot of people think it's only about budget increases. That's what scaling means, right? It's only about how much money you have, how deep your pockets are, and how much money you can allocate to a scaling campaign. And as long as you don't run out of money, you're kind of good to go and you can scale to the moon. That never happens, okay? So it rarely happens in a linear fashion. That's what I'm trying to say, because when you're trying to scale, you're going to have to juggle with a lot of variables. And if you're not equipped with the tools to look for those variables, you're just not going to be able to spot them, first of all, and you're not going to be able to address the issues once they appear. So here, what I want to do is I want to explain to you how I structure my view when it comes to the view that I have on the ad account. And then I want to show you what you should be looking at before you even attempt to scale. So the first thing I want to address is fixing the bottlenecks. That's the first step. A funnel is inherently filled with one or more bottlenecks. You will have, regardless of what you're doing, whether you're doing 10 million a day or $100 a day, you will have bottlenecks in your funnel. And you need to be a master at spotting what those bottlenecks are. Otherwise, you're just going to be throwing money at an inefficient funnel, first of all, but then you're also going to be throwing money in the wrong direction. And so here, what you want to think about is the view you want to have in the ad account is a view that reflects the funnel. It starts with the impression and it ends up with the purchase. And so now we want to ask ourselves, what makes a bottleneck? What can be identified as a bottleneck? To me, a bottleneck is something that is preventing you from getting that 10x leap. It's a leverage point that you're not exploiting, that is suffering, and you're not paying attention to it, and that's preventing you from getting that 10x leap. So to give you an example between two variables that might seem like a bottleneck, one being a number one priority, the other one not being a priority, a lot of people might mistake this for a priority. So for example, if you have a CPM issue, for example, a CPM that's at $50 and you're trying to, get it back to $30, that might be a bottleneck to you. But on the other hand, you've got a CTR of 0.7%, right? Or 0.9%, whatever. And you're trying to identify which is the bottleneck. A veteran marketer will identify the CTR as being the main bottleneck that needs to be addressed between those two variables. The rookie might say, hey, I need to fix the CPM first and then go to the CTR. So that's what I mean between a few variables can be bottlenecks, but not all of them are a priority. It's really the variables that give you the 10x leap, okay? And so in any funnel, you need to take a look at your cost per link click. You need to take a look at your CPMs. You need to take a look at your conversion rate. You need to take a look at your AOV, and you need to take a look at your LTV if your business is an LTV based business. So whenever you want to start scaling, scale can happen literally by solving your ads. If you go from a 1% CTR to a 3% CTR, well, you've just solved a major bottleneck. You tripled the amount of link clicks that you're getting. You tripled your CTR, which means you're getting way more traffic with zero ad spend in increase, right? You're getting more leverage and more traffic through very little input. You didn't 10x your budget. It stayed the same. You just fixed your ads. You got better ads, and then you got a higher CTR, a lower cost per click, and your traffic shot up, and then you're getting more sales if your conversion rate is performing well. On another scenario, for example, you're sending more traffic to the website, but your website conversion rate is only 1% or sub 1%, or it's not very strong. That would be a bottleneck to fix, because otherwise water just flows into a leaky bucket, and it can increase your sales, yes, but it's ineffective effective and it's a faulty funnel. So you need to fix the bottlenecks.
Hello guys, real quick, if you want me to work with you personally to scale your e-commerce store to 6 figures, 7 figures, even 8 figures in sales, you can book a call with me. Link will be in the description. Let's go back to the video.
Again, let's repeat them. Cost per link click, your conversion rate on the website, your AOV. We take a look at CTR as well to see how our ads are performing. So for example, these 3 campaigns here have a very low CTR, and this is something that we're looking into at the moment to get it back to where it was. I believe it was at 2.5%, but this is something that we're doing every single day. Every single day we're identifying bottlenecks and obviously analyzing them on a bigger trend than a daily basis, but still we're identifying where are things not performing well. And then once we have that, now we need to start addressing the issue. Okay, how do we scale? Yes, increasing the budgets works, but I wanted to show you this ad account because look at the frequency on a top of funnel campaign, which is obviously broad 1865 plus. The bottom funnel, it's normal, but this means that the average user sees our ads 3 to 4 times. If we want to scale, we want this to be, between, I would say lower than 2 would be very good for me, right? So this means that we're tapping into, colder markets and colder markets and colder markets. This means here that if we continue like this, we'll probably hit a plateau where the ROAS will just hit a ceiling and then gradually start declining just because customers are seeing your ads every single day and they're kind of tired of seeing them. So the reason why I wanted to show you this ad account is first of all, to address the bottleneck issues. That's the first point. The second point is you need to start tapping into unaware ads. And this is going to open up so many customer segments that were hidden to you prior to you not developing those unaware ads. And now you're able to tap into those customer bases that are literally untapped because no one is doing this stuff. No one is talking to unaware crowds. And you're able to talk to them and bring them in the fold of your brand and indoctrinate them and basically convert them. But if you're only relying on your solution aware avatars and your most aware avatars where you just throw a 30%, 25%, they convert, that works in the short term, but you're not going to be able to scale on the long term. So you need to figure out who is your unaware avatar. And this starts with a lot of research, guys, a lot of research. You don't spin these ads with just, in a few minutes or just asking ChatGPT. It's a lot of research. And the unaware ads are ads that don't look like ads because you're not talking to a person that is ready to receive an ad. And there's a separate video coming up on how to create these ads. But essentially, you need to think of them as, I would say, mini VSLs that are introducing the customer or the prospect in this case to a problem that they might have, they're not aware of it, and then to a solution that is a solution to that problem, and then making them an offer at the end to consider the product. In some instances, we don't even do a product introduction. We do it on a retargeting basis, or we do it on another creative that is served to these people. So unaware ads are your gate to unlocking customer segments that have not been tapped by other competitors and that are basically a little bit less sophisticated than your most aware crowd. And so unlocking these customer segments is how you get to scale. Otherwise, you're just going to create a mathematical impossibility for you, which means you've got a limited pool of most aware buyers or solution aware buyers, whatever. You're just dumping all your ad spend into this limited pool of customers and prospects, and you're going to run out of it because your customers are not buying your products every single day. Okay, so that's the reason. And by the way, guys, I'm curious, where are you lacking when it comes to scaling your store? Is it in the ads? Is it in the copy? Is it in the strategy, the product page? I'm very curious about knowing what you guys are suffering from at the moment. So drop me a comment. Let me know what's working, what's not working, where are your issues so I can help. Feel free to drop a comment and let me know what types of topics as well that you'd like to see in the future. I always like to interact with you guys, so yeah, feel free to do that. But going back to the video, we've tackled the fixing of the bottlenecks. We're now going to unaware ads that unlock our customer bases. The last thing that is left to us is the technical setup. And this is why, if you've seen all of these videos that talk about scaling and talk about how to scale Facebook ads, how to scale meta ads, how to scale this, how to scale that, it's only technical. It's like, hey, duplicate this ad set and increase it by 20%, or, duplicate your testing campaign into a scaling campaign, or just identify your winners and dump it all into an Advantage Plus or a CBO or whatever, and just increase the budget. At the end of the day, that's the only content that you see on YouTube on scaling ads. No one is talking about this stuff, but you're getting literally priority access to some real sauce. First step, like I said, going back, we fix the bottlenecks. We want a flawless funnel, or as close to a flawless funnel as possible. The second thing, we tap into unaware avatars. We stop just dumping all of our budget into segments that just don't convert or won't convert in the long term. And then the last step is actually the easiest, because now you have a testing campaign, you're testing new ads, you're getting winners, you're increasing your win rate, which means you're identifying more winning ads as you go. And what you do is you just dump them into a scaling scaling campaign, you increase the budget until it doesn't work, and then you rinse and repeat. But unless you have a framework like this, it's just not going to work. It might work. You might scale for a month, but then everything, just collapses, and then what? You're left, just scrambling around. That's not how we want to do things. So to give you a live case study of what I would do in this account, we're at the step where our funnel is healthy, but I'm not happy about these 3 campaigns. We're probably going to be switching the ads. This used to be like 2%. So this goes hand in hand with the frequency, right? Maybe people are getting a little bit tired from seeing the ads. So we'll have to switch up the creatives, get back to 2%. Once that's the case, we'll basically go into the unaware ad creation, because now we spent, so this is for last month, we spent 40 grand, made back 112, a little bit more on Shopify actually. And what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be looking to double this number, but we don't double it with this setup here. That's never going to happen. The only way we can double this is by unlocking customer segments that'll give us a frequency that is less than what we're seeing here, and the CTR that is still stable at 2%, and the cost per click that is between $1.5 and $2. That's how we'll scale. And then what happens is when we start scaling, when we start getting into 50, 60, 80, 100 grand a month, we'll start getting more visible bottlenecks. So things will start to break a little bit faster. Things will start to break and be more visible because we're spending more. And so that's where the cycle of fixing the bottlenecks just never ends.
Again, if you want me to deploy the cutting edge strategies that I share with you in this channel for your e-commerce store to grow to 6 and 7 figures smoothly, you can book a call with myself. Link will be in the description. Let's resume the video.
To go to the next level, we go into unaware ads again, and we just identify what worked, replicate it, and then just rinse and repeat. That's how we scale. That's how you need to think about scaling your e-commerce store in whatever industry you're at, right? Because if you're in let's say a consumables space, the other bottleneck that you'll add is probably the LTV. After the AOV, the LTV is going to be a bottleneck for you as well. How do you get subscriptions? How do you get people to buy more and buy more and buy more, right? But regardless, you'll have your CPM, your CPC, and then you'll have your conversion rate, your AOV, your LTV. Once you fix these, now you start going into unaware ads that expand your audience and expand your reach. And then after that, you just duplicate and increase the spend. And that's when you do all of the stuff that these guys jump into before they do the fundamentals, right? But now you're equipped with the fundamentals and you understand the thought process behind scaling. It's not about spending more money. It's about being strategic and being intentional into understanding that you cannot scale into a limited pool of buyers. Some total addressable markets will be bigger than others, that's for sure. But again, in theory, you will not be able to scale into a most aware or a solution aware pool of customers just because it only represents, 3 to 5% of the total addressable market. So you're setting yourself up for failure, and you're also paying a higher ad spend premium, right? You don't want to do that.
So ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the video. Hopefully you enjoyed what you watched. So if you're here for the free value, consider subscribing to the channel, liking and commenting as well. Let me know what types of topics you'd like me to cover in the next videos. If you're looking for a growth partner to work with in the long term and you're making at least $20,000 to $30,000 per month in sales, consider clicking on the link below, booking a call with my team, and we'll lay out the entire roadmap that'll show you exactly what's missing in your business and how to get to your goals in the shortest amount of time. Hopefully you got some value from the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.